Before Rome feared barbarians, before emperors trembled at rebellion, there was one name that turned the Republic cold: Hannibal, not because he destroyed Rome, but because he taught Romans what it felt like to survive defeat. And still hear him coming. You already lost to him once. That is the thing you carry into the fog at Lake Trashiness. Not hope, not confidence, memory, the memory of Trebia, where the Roman war machine discovered for the first time in generations that it could bleed. Hannibal Barca was not a king. He was not an emperor. He was something more dangerous. A man who understood Rome better than Rome understood itself. Ancient writers described him like a force of nature. Polybius wrote of his patience. Livy wrote of his cruelty. Roman survivors spoke of him differently, like a shadow that kept appearing ahead of them no matter where they marched. And now, somewhere beyond the mist, that shadow waits again. Hannibal was born in Carthage, a city forged by merchants, sailors, and war. As a boy, he stood beside his father, Hamilcar Barca, and swore eternal hatred against Rome, not political hatred, personal hatred. For decades, Rome and Carthage had fought over the Mediterranean. Sicily burned, fleets vanished beneath black water, entire armies disappeared into foreign soil. But Hannibal envisioned something impossible, not defending against Rome, invading it. So he crossed the Alps with elephants, with starving soldiers, with an army that should have died in the mountains long before reaching Italy. But it survived, and Rome was waiting below, completely unprepared for the nightmare descending toward them. Imagine being there. The cold mud of Trebia freezing around your sandals. The screams of horses vanishing into winter fog. The sudden realization that the enemy already knew where you would move before you moved. Then came Trashiness. The road beside the lake narrowed. Fog swallowed the column whole. 20 men ahead of you became ghosts. Then the hills exploded, not with warning horns, with death. Javelins raining from above. Carthaginian warriors charging downhill through white mist. Men drowning in the lake, trying to escape a battlefield they couldn't even see. Some survivors later claimed the battle was so loud, nobody noticed the earthquake beneath them. The earth itself shook, and Hannibal was louder. But Can-nae was different. Rome gathered 86,000 men, the largest army in its history. An ocean of shields, an avalanche of iron. This time Rome believed sheer weight would crush Hannibal, and at first it worked. His center bent backward. Romans cheered. You pushed harder. The formation compressed tighter and tighter beneath the August sun. Then you noticed something horrifying. The center was retreating, but the flanks were not. Hannibal's African veterans pivoted inward like closing doors. Your cavalry vanished in dust behind you. Then came the final sound. Hooves. Carthaginian cavalry returning from the rear. The circle closed, and inside that circle, Rome suffocated. Men died standing. There was no room to swing a sword, no room to fall, no room to breathe, only pressure. Bodies crushed against bodies, while Hannibal slowly erased an army from existence. And somehow, you survived. Not victorious, not heroic, just alive. There is a kind of terror that does not leave after battle, a terror that follows you into sleep. Because surviving Hannibal did not mean safety. It meant knowing he was still somewhere in Italy, still hunting Roman armies, still undefeated. For 16 years, Romans whispered the same phrase to each other in fear. Hannibal ad portas. Hannibal is at the gates. Rome never surrendered. That is the strange miracle of the story. After Trebia, after Trashiness, after Can-nae, Rome kept standing. The Senate raised armies from slaves, boys, old men. anyone who could hold a shield. But something inside Rome changed forever, because thousands of survivors carried memories no monument could capture. The heat, the compression, the sound of men suffocating in armor, the knowledge that Rome could lose. One teenage survivor at Can-nae studied that horror for years. His name was Scipio Africanus, and eventually he defeated Hannibal at Zama using lessons learned from the nightmare itself. That is the legacy Hannibal left behind, not destruction, transformation. He forced Rome to become harder, colder, more dangerous than ever before. And maybe that is the most terrifying victory of all. Empires are not built by victories alone. Sometimes they are built by the men who survive disasters and march again anyway. Still wounded, still afraid, still here. If this story moved you, leave a like and subscribe. And as always, may history never be forgotten.